I want to give you all some tips about preparing for trial to put yourself in the best situation and position to win. So the next few videos are a part of our jury trial series where we break down a different aspect of a jury trial. This video in particular is going to be about preparing for trial. Prepping for trial is extremely tedious and it's very difficult. It's much more difficult than the trial itself. One of the first things that I always do when I'm a few weeks out from trial is I get my trial binder ready, which is the binder's probably about this big, and I put everything that I need at the trial in that trial binder. So my exhibits, I always have 3 copies of each exhibit that I'm gonna use. I have a sealed copy of every deposition transcript that I'm gonna need in that particular trial. And the reason that that is important is because in the event that you need to impeach a witness, most judges want you to have a sealed transcript ready to go to give to the judge if you need to impeach that witness as well. I always also have copies of all my direct examinations of every witness, and it's in a different folder. I have a copy of all of my cross examinations of every witness in that folder as well for that witness. I have copies of my opening statement, my closing, my voir dire questions, all neatly organized so that if I need to get to it quickly, I can do so. You also want to have multiple copies of your motions in limine, your consolidated pretrial order as well, any pleadings that you think you may need. And we always bring multiple copies just in case we have to give one to the judge. We obviously want one for ourselves as well as opposing counsel. I also tend to always make an exhibit list, which lists out whether it's 20 exhibits, 50 exhibits, 1 through 50, what the exhibits are, and numbered as well. I give a copy to opposing counsel, I give a copy to the judge. And the reason that this is important because anytime you enter something into evidence, either yourself or your co-counsel or your paralegal needs to check that off on your exhibit list. Because I made the mistake in the past of thinking that I put something into evidence and realizing it never got into evidence. Another big aspect of trial prep is prepping your witnesses to testify. Most likely this is something that they've never done before. They're going to be in front of complete strangers, in front of a judge, and they're going to be questioned by lawyers in open court. And so it's a very unnerving feeling for most people. So you need to prep them, and you need to prep them a lot, and you need to prep them as if it's the real thing. Time and time again, and I made this mistake as well, is that you prep your client for cross-examination, but you're throwing out softball questions. They're not in real game mode. You have to practice how you're gonna play. And so either you can do it or you can bring in someone else to cross-examine your witness while you are practicing so that they can get used to the type of questions and the tone that they're gonna receive from defense counsel on that stand. Another aspect about prepping the client is you need to thoroughly review their deposition well in advance so that you know everything that's in their deposition, everything that's in their medical records, so that you can prep them again for their direct examination that you're gonna be going through with them. But frankly, the thing that scares me the most again is cross-examination. So they need to know what was in their deposition so that they don't contradict that deposition, because if they do, they are going to be impeached and that's going to impact their credibility in front of the jury. Make sure you spend the time prepping your client. And then lastly, a question I get a lot is, well, how long in advance should I start prepping and how long should it take me to prep? And it really all depends on your case. If you have a very complicated case, a medical malpractice case, a case with big damages and a lot of witnesses, well, you're gonna need to start months in advance. And a lot of times we don't know our trial date because it's not specially set, or we're on a trial calendar and we might be number 4 or number 3 and we don't know if we're gonna go or not. But you gotta be ready because you can be called just like that and you gotta be at that courthouse in 2 hours, as we all know. So I always say, give yourself enough time. On average, I would say you need to start prepping at least a month and a half in advance. If your case is bigger, much further in advance as well.